In this tutorial, we will learn all about layers in Capture One. Layers are an efficient tool for targeting adjustments to certain areas in the photo. For example, this photo has some background adjustments and 3 additional layers. So let's see the impact by looking at the photo without the layers. The Layers tool can be found in these 3 tabs. But keep in mind it's the same tool, it's simply available in multiple tool tabs. To create a new layer, simply click on the plus icon here. I want this layer to add some clarity to the clouds, to bring them out more, and change the color of the sky as well. If I apply some clarity now, you'll notice that nothing is happening. This is because the layer doesn't have a mask. Masks will determine where on the layer your adjustments will be applied. So I'll reset clarity and let's go ahead and make a mask. Masks can be created in multiple ways. This tutorial will cover how to manually brush in masks using the brush tool. Let's pick the brush cursor tool here. You can also use the shortcut B. To change the settings of the brush, simply right-click on the photo. So I want to use a large soft brush to mask over the clouds, and I'll keep the opacity and flow at 100. When I start to brush, the mask will show with a red overlay, and by default the mask will only show when I'm brushing. If you want the mask to show or hide permanently, use the keyboard shortcut M to toggle this setting. I accidentally brushed a bit too much, so I can select my erase brush here. Or I can use the shortcut E. Remember, you can use the square bracket keys to change your brush size quickly. I'll erase any areas I don't want included now. With the mask created, I'll go to my clarity tool and press M to hide the mask. Now when I start to increase the clarity, we can see the adjustment being applied. Notice that the tools available for layers will show a small brush icon when working on a layer. So let's change the color of the sky as well. I'll go to my Color tool tab and then down to my color editor. I'll select the blue patch and warm this up slightly. And I'll decrease the saturation and lower the lightness so we have a bit more impact. So I'm happy with this. Let's add a second layer that will darken some of the brighter areas that are catching my eye. When adding multiple layers, it's always a good idea to name the layer. I'll double-click the first layer to rename it, and I'll call this Sky Clarity and Color. I'll add a new layer and rename this Darken Foreground. As opposed to the first layer, I'll apply my adjustment before brushing to better control the final effect. Now I'll go to my Exposure tool tab, and I'll darken the exposure slightly. I'll press B to switch to my brush tool, and I'll right-click on the photo to bring up my brush settings again. As I want to build up the effect gradually, I'll reduce my flow to around 10%. This means each stroke of the brush will apply just 10% of the exposure adjustment. I'll also make my brush a bit smaller and a bit softer. Now I can start brushing over those brighter areas to darken them. Every time I brush over the same area, the mask gets stronger and the adjustment has more impact. So to see the exposure adjustment without the mask overlay, let's press the shortcut key M. Each photo can contain up to 16 layers, so let's add a third layer that will warm up the landscape. This time I'd like to see how the adjustment will affect the photo before I begin brushing, so I'll hold down on the plus icon and choose New Filled Layer. This will add a mask to the entire photo. I'll press M to show this, and I'll rename the layer Warm Landscape. Let's hide the mask so I can see how the adjustment will look. Now I'll go to my Color Balance tool. Let me scroll down to see this. And in the master wheel, I can just warm up those tones. I'll select my eraser brush by pressing E and open the brush settings again. Let's increase the brush size and put my flow back up to 100. Now I'll just remove the mask over the sky. So to lessen the effect of this layer, I can just reduce the opacity here. To learn more about advanced layers and masking techniques, visit our Learning Hub where we cover gradients, luminosity masking and more.